Hello, I'm glad we've got the chance to have another chat this week. So, how have you been?
Not too bad, not too bad. I wouldn't say I'm in flying form at the minute on the punting front.
Oh,
But look, that's all part of it. And you take the peaks with the troughs, and
of
you keep
course.
grind. You grind on, Penny. You
Of
grind on.
course you do. Of course you do. So, we're going to have a look at a different race this evening, ready for Cheltenham?
Yeah, Grace, the champion hurdle tonight. So
Lovely. So, what sort of stats have you been looking at to try and make your decisions?
grand. So champion hurdle. Hopefully, we can find some juicy nuggets for people. Um, Again, just to touch on the anti-post betting, you take the risk of your horse being pulled out, but you get the whole point of anti-post betting is you get the bigger price. And let's see if we can do that. So stats wise, so champion hurdle again, like the Gold Cup, the stats can be very consistent. Um, the returning juveniles, i.e. the 5-year-olds, tend to struggle in this race. Only two 5-year-olds have won the race over the last 20 years, Catch
Wow.
It and Esport Dallin. And there's a reason usually that these 5-year-olds can win the race. I think Esport Dallin, there was two reasons. I think he was a very, very exceptional horse, but it probably wasn't the greatest race that year. Catch It won it the year after he won the Triumph, and Catch It was just a very unusual horse. He wasn't very quick, and that sounds ridiculous for a champion hurdle winner, but he just travelled and jumped and travelled and ground out. And again, I wouldn't have thought that champion hurdle was particularly strong. So in general, you need to I would steer clear of 5-year-olds.
Right.
They don't generally have a good record in the race. And then at the other end of the scale, a 9-year-old would be your peak. 9-year-olds have won it. Hurricane Fly, Rooster Booster, but you certainly don't want a 10-year-old or over. The last 10-year-old to win it, you're going all the way back to the early 80s. Sea Pigeon. I'm sure
Oh.
your great uncle would remember him. Sea Pigeon won it, I think, 3 times, the champion hurdle.
Wow.
But so again, for a horse to be as old as that, they would need to be exceptional horses. So in summary, what you're looking for is a 6, a 7, or an 8-year-old.
Okay.
And that usually can narrow down the fields massively.
Yeah.
So that's it.
What else have you been looking at apart from the ages then?
So then you can sort of look at the race itself now. So we're miles out, but there is value there. I think the winner of the race, the obvious winner of the race, is Honeysuckle. She destroyed them last year. She looks immense. She's an absolute monster of a horse. She looks like a gelding. She's a big, strong
Mm.
mare, and her jumping has improved hugely, which was the only reason I thought she couldn't win a champion hurdle, but I can't see anything troubling her again this year. But at 7-4, we certainly want to be looking at this far out. We want to be looking for a bit of value.
Mm.
And that's the whole point of what we're doing. Week on week, we're going to be putting up big prices. We're not going to be putting up short prices. So I've had a good look at the market, and there'll be 2 or 3 I like, and we'll put a couple of selections up
Okay.
for it.
Okay, let's have the first one then.
Okay, so I've gone all the way back. Now, the first one I'm going to pull out is a horse called She Wears It Well,
Oh,
and it is a filly or mare, trained by Willie Mullins. Now, he has stated in an interview there last week that she is going to be aimed at the mare's hurdle. But from what I've seen, she's such an accomplished jumper. Certainly last year before she got injured, she has that look of, visually impressive, and she has that look that she could be absolutely anything. And she's 50-1 at the moment for the champion hurdle. And Willie has stated she won't run in the race, that she's going to go for the mare's hurdle. But I just think if she's very impressive on her debut, and then she comes out maybe over Christmas or at the Dublin Racing Festival and wins a really good race, I just think she could shorten up massively. And I think Willie may have another look, possibly at putting her into the champion hurdle. It was mentioned last year by a few people that she could potentially be that good.
Right.
So that's definitely one to have a sneaky tenor at 50-1. It certainly would be exciting as the season goes by to see if she is that good, because right at the minute she's all potential, but visually she looks, to my eye, potentially very, very good. So I'd be more than happy to have a sneaky little tenor on her for the race. And as I said, that's what anti-post betting is about. If you're going to have an anti-post bet, make sure you get your big price. But look, like I said, the race is very straightforward. You start with Honeysuckle, and then you Fernie Hollow is second favourite. Is not going to run on the race. I don't think so anyway. Sharjah, who won the Morgiana yesterday, 12-1, probably going to fall short. I wouldn't be surprised if Sharjah was placed again. Could he win it? I'm not sure. I just think there's going to be 2 or 3 too good for him. Appreciate it. I think should run in the race, but apparently he's going for the Arkle. And you go all the way down here. Excuse me. You've Bob Ollinger. Again, will run in the Marsh. Novice Chase. He won't run in it. And you can keep going down. Zana here, again, is a 5-year-old. Disappointed in the Triumph, so his age and the fact that maybe Cheltenham doesn't suit him would put me off him. Echoes in Rain, again, she ran in the Morgiana yesterday, but for me was very disappointing. She looked like she didn't enjoy the ground. She looks like she wants much softer ground. She didn't jump slick, she jumped very big, so I wouldn't be surprised if she was to end up in the mares. You have Monmoral, again, as a returning juvenile, and there's rumours he might go over a fence at some stage as well, so he wouldn't be for me as a 5-year-old, although Monmoral, I'm one of his biggest fans. I think he's an absolute weapon. Then you've Abacadabras, and if you remember, we backed Abacadabras in last year's champion hurdle, 25-1. And, you can't really judge him on last year's run because he fell. So, and he's usually quite a slick jumper. And he's such a strong traveller. And I just think the champion hurdle really suits him. Back with Gordon, a full season with Gordon. I think he's a big price, but I'm gonna resist backing him as an anti-post bet, because I just think this is his, time's getting on a little bit for him, even though he's not that old, but I'm going to resist backing him. You've then the likes of Classical Dreams, Sco Royal, Trushan, Tiupu, Saldier, Haute en Couleur, Black Tears, Blue Lord. These are horses, again, a mixture of they're not going to run and they're not good enough. Although you've even Envoy Allen is 33-1 here. He's not going to run. The horse I've come down on for the second selection is Epatante.
Oh, okay.
So she will be an 8-year-old mare come the race. She won the champion hurdle 2 years ago. She came out and made her seasonal debut last year in the Fighting Fifth, and I would just invite anyone to go back and watch that performance, because she travelled like, it was so impressive. It really was. So she came back, and then she wasn't right, and she got an illness, and then Nicky Henderson came. I don't think he was particularly in good form, and she had an issue then with her back or something, and she was third in last year's champion hurdle, and then she went to Punchestown and finished off her season I think she was third again behind Honeysuckle at Punchestown. So she only ran 4 times, but I don't think she was right last season. So if Nicky can get her back to where he knows he can get her, and we all know Nicky Henderson can get horses to win Champion Hurdle. If she can have a solid enough season, and if she can turn up on the day ripe and in good form, she's the only horse that's going to run in it that could beat Honeysuckle, in my opinion.
Right.
She's the slickest hurdler out there. There's not a slicker hurdler than Epatante. I can just see her, just following Honeysuckle around, and Honeysuckle could be taking her along. I think Epatante could be just taking lengths out of her at each hurdle, and she could really take her into the race. And I could see, as long as it's not too soft on the day, I could see Epatante could do Honeysuckle for a little bit of speed, up the hill. So in summary, Pen, Honeysuckle is the most likely winner of this race. But for our anti-post punters, for our anti-post selections, where we get our value, we are going to go with She Wears It Well, 50-1.
Wow.
51. Now, as we said, she might not run, probably won't, but if she turns up on the day, she'll be single figures. And I believe Epatante is a great price at 16s in a place. I think it's a great price. So I think the Champion Hurdle is going to be dominated by the mares and fillies.
Wow.
So that would be our selections. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to just, at the end of this video, I'll just stick up the information so far for viewers, just so they can see the choices from last week, and added to that list, obviously, this week's selections from you, just so we can sort of build up a picture over the next, 11 weeks now, is it, that we've got to go, that will build a good picture of all the different horses. And then, as you said last week, at the end, there's probably then going to be a bit of a shuffling around of maybe those that have already definitely, not going to be racing. You might make some new selections for those particular races if our selections are not going to be running. So,
and hopefully we won't have to do a lot of shuffling. Hopefully, hopefully they'll all turn up and win.
that will be the perfect
scenario.
Be nice.
Indeed.
That's great. Listen, thanks for the chats. It's been great.
Okay.
And I will catch you again next week.
Cheers, Pen.
Bye.
God bless.